Thanks, Eric. This afternoon, the Ground Zero Museum welcomes the Silver Lining exhibit showcasing 20 years after Hurricane Katrina at Studio Waveland. I spoke with one artist about her experience during the tragedy and how she turned this natural disaster into 5 acts.
And my house had been floated up and dropped in a neighboring yard. And all of my art supplies had been destroyed and blooming in the yard, in the mud.
Located in Studio Waveland, Kat Fitzpatrick tells that very story through watercolor after Hurricane Katrina destroyed her home in Bay St. Louis. During her time of recovery after the hurricane, Fitzpatrick showed up to the Mississippi art colony with mud from the storm still on her clothes. She created this 5-act art piece with gifted 300-pound watercolor paper. Fitzpatrick says a gift needed during time of tragedy.
I began by tearing each of the pieces in half because it felt like that was what happened in our community. We were torn in half. And then I put them together and started painting my experience of Katrina.
The first act represents the 32 feet of water that swept away Fitzpatrick's home, painted in resemblance to Hokusai wave and Japanese prints. The second act displays a bit of light. To Fitzpatrick, that was a sign of hope during the darkest time. The third shows the chaos of the debris while Fitzpatrick searched for her mother, who ended up being rescued and taken to the hospital. The fourth act shows the current and all it swept along.
Here's the town of Bay St. Louis, and there are people. This is happening during the storm. There was a horse that a dear friend of mine had in his stable, and he died, so he floated, and then this becomes the graveyard of all of the people that had floated out.
Something exhibited in all the acts, the railroad.
So all of the news we could get was that everything south of the railroad tracks had been destroyed. There was nothing left.
Fitzpatrick's last act in the series shows the past community underneath what has been built of Bay St. Louis post-Katrina. After the destruction, she had to get creative to let friends and family know she was safe. She did that through thank you notes.
So I still had a box of these 20 years later, and so these are my thank you notes to my community that helped me reconstitute and become stronger than I had been before.
She says that these pieces show a series of tragedy, community, and resilience, something that still not everyone can process 2 decades later.